Hi YouTube, it's that one guy in lit class, and we're going to talk about two important figures of speech today, similes and metaphors. So if you remember the days of middle and high school language arts classes, you may remember that similes and metaphors both compare two things but are different in how they go about that. Similes use the words like or as to compare things, whereas metaphors do not. This means that a simile simply suggests that two things are similar, whereas a metaphor says that two things are the same. So in the two most famous lines of Pablo Neruda's Sonnet 17, the narrator states, "I love you as certain dark things are to be loved, in secret, between the shadow and the soul." This is a simile, in this case using the word as to compare the narrator's love for the subject to his love for certain dark things. And this brings up an important point about figurative language in literature. The kinds of language that a character, or in this case the narrator of a poem, uses can tell us a lot about that character. By definition, a simile or a metaphor compares an event with some other event, both of which have to be in a character's experience. So in order for this simile to mean anything, we have to assume one of three things. One, that the narrator currently loves certain dark things. Two, that the narrator has loved certain dark things in the past. Or three, that the narrator has enough second-hand experience from watching or hearing about others who have loved certain dark things that they are able to give an opinion on how certain dark things are to be loved. How we answer that question certainly has an impact on how we look at the rest of the poem. Let's take a closer look at metaphors now. We've already said that a metaphor is a comparison without using like or as, and that metaphors say one thing is another thing, not just that they are similar. While similes are usually short and sweet, metaphors are often woven through many lines of text. This creates what we call an extended metaphor, which is simply a metaphor that has been stretched out to explain how the two things being compared are in fact the same thing. Probably the most famous of all extended metaphors comes from Shakespeare, who wrote in As You Like It, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." So over the course of a few lines, this metaphor says that life is all acting, and that one person while alive will play many roles: hero, villain, victim, oppressor, and so on. I hope this clears up some of the confusion surrounding similes and metaphors, and that you found it useful. Thanks for watching. Cheers.